Hi, and welcome back to Soaring Profits. I am James, and this is my friend
Patrick, as always.
Patrick. And today I was doing one of our live shoots where I look way more handsome than I do now. And I was talking about the soul, like I always talk about mental, body, and soul, the trifecta, the three things you need to have a positive life that moves forward and is always growing. And you can have a good life if you build these three things. But I haven't really talked a lot about the soul, because the soul is personal. But I thought I have Pat here, so what a wonderful opportunity for us to talk about it. So for
And as a
me,
conservative, I'm without, apparently.
well, he's without the heart part. The
Heart.
soul he has, but the
Right.
heart, he's
Yeah.
kind of like the Tin Man. He's my Tin
Right.
Man. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I was talking to the profiteers, which I love. Gosh, I love that he named you guys the profiteers. I think that's awesome. And I was talking to them, and I was saying that it's kind of a two-way street for the soul for me. So when I build my soul, it's a lot about surrounding God and prayer and going to church and stuff like that. And I was a knight for a very long time. Still am a knight of Columbus, and doing stuff through them. But there's also the other hand. So maybe some of your profiteers out there don't follow God, and if you don't, that's your personal choice, and that's up to you. But so there's the other hand. There's the stuff where you can do things to help the world around you that will lift your soul. But I thought first we might talk about God, like because you and I are both faithful. We both are Catholic, in fact, and we both drive a lot of that good feeling, that good soul from being Catholic. And I just thought maybe you'd share some of your experience in that area. Like, what about Catholicism lifts your soul and allows you to soar and feel good about yourself and good about the world around you?
Well, so again, it's a complicated topic and, very individual to each person, but I can talk kind of briefly on, going through the process that I just did with the passing of my father and
Hmm.
how faith and my, religious upbringing and my family were such an important piece to that. So for myself, for those of you that don't know, my father recently passed away from mesothelioma cancer. He worked in the industry type setting for 32 years, and he ended up contracting this terrible form of cancer. And for many, many, many years, I watched my father wilt away. And when you first start seeing somebody that you love, you struggle with that, and you kind of push them, and you go through all the emotions that are kind
Right.
of grief, right? And I remember
Yeah.
arguing with my dad about he's got to be taking care of himself better, and he's got to be doing a better diet, and he's got all these sorts of things. Meanwhile, he was absolutely riddled with cancer. And
Hmm.
you go through stages when you deal with that. And I remember when we were in the later stages of my father's passing, um, constantly being reassured by not necessarily my faith alone, but of his faith. My father
Right.
was a profound Catholic and
Hmm.
believed wholeheartedly, was a very spiritual and religious man, and was in church every Sunday and gave to the church and was a knight of Columbus for many years.
Hmm.
And he passed that down and those traditions. And when you see someone who should be terrified in their final days and a lot of times, oh no, is me, or God, why did you put this
Right.
before me?
Right.
And I was able
Absolutely.
to sit there and watch my father, and with stoicism and empathy for the people around him, realizing and understanding that uh, this was not the end for him. And
Right.
whatever your belief structures are, I know
No.
yours, but like whatever your belief structures
Yeah.
are of your own. But there is there is something immensely powerful that I cannot explain
Yeah.
about a person's individual viewpoint on religion and faith in those dying days and dying months.
And
And
you're absolutely right. Like when he was passing slowly, and it would be hard. Like I remember my dad slowly wasting away, a guy who was my hero, the guy
right,
that could never be knocked down. So I get that. But your dad, through faith, and
yeah,
it was faith, he was cracking jokes like
Right.
just before the end,
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
right?
and you and another one of our buddies from work, you guys were there at the palliative, the palliative
Hmm.
floor and visited. And you
Yeah,
guys visited him on the Sunday and he was
yeah,
laughing and kind of joking with us.
yeah,
And, after the Browns lost on Sunday, he was even joking about my aunt and kind of cracking jokes at her. And
yeah,
he had passed away within, about 8 or 9 hours after that.
yeah.
But again, I go back to, we had some interesting conversations in his final days and months and years, because
Hmm.
so my father ended up moving in with me, and I became like his primary caregiver.
Right.
So obviously this is kind of a hard thing to talk about because it's still
Hmm.
relatively fresh and
But
all
very
of that.
important because it's about soul. During that time, your
Right.
soul should have been crushed, but
Well,
it wasn't
right. And
entirely.
that's why I bring it up, because I think
Yeah.
that this is an excellent reference into that kind of topic.
Hmm.
And it gave me an unbelievable amount of strength, my
Hmm.
faith in that time, because I was able to echo his strength. When
Right.
you watch somebody that you love and you care for and you see them deteriorate and you see them, again, like you said, like my dad was John Wayne, like he was
Yeah. Oh
literally a
my God.
cowboy, right? Like he was
Literally.
literally a cowboy,
Yeah.
big tough guy. And my father, when he died, he wouldn't have been, he 115,
Yeah.
120
You can pick them
pounds.
up with one arm. Yeah.
Right. I literally did when he actually passed
Yeah.
away. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so like there's all kinds of, emotions that you go through there. And there's the theories of grief,
Hmm.
and you do that pre-dying. For my father, right, he went
Hmm.
through all those emotional things, but
Yeah.
he always came back to his faith.
Yes.
And dealing with the family priest that we've known for years, and have an excellent relationship with them,
Hmm.
he was always there. Like I remember going to mass the Sunday before my father passed,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget. Father he came right off the altar at mass, and he came right over to me. He goes, "How's your dad doing?" And I said, "He's not good, Father. We're kind of at the end
Yeah.
now." And he just jumped in his car and he met me up at hospice. Like he was
Yes.
there in 10 minutes,
Oh,
and that
absolutely.
was because of the relationship.
Yep. Yep.
In priest, in one of your shorts there the other day, you were talking about doing a beautiful gesture that you did for
Father
Father
Stan.
Stan,
Yeah.
who was having trouble with the gas situation. And we had a tornado come through
Yeah.
it's not even a tornado. What is it called? What did they call it?
I don't remember. It's something about the air
Duac
pushing
or something
down
like
and
that.
ripping
Yeah.
up,
It's a
and
special
I'm
name.
not sure.
So anyways,
Tornado. That doesn't
yeah,
touch down, I think is what it's called.
right. It just
Yeah.
screws things over.
5 minutes of utter destruction in a large, large area
Right. Yeah.
in
Basically all
5 minutes.
southwestern Ontario. Well,
5 minutes.
southern Ontario, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so faith to me
Hmm.
is about strength. And I've had conversations with people who are like, well, I can do that. I don't have to believe in God. I can go out into the wilderness and sit by a tree and all those sorts of things. And I've always said to them, I go, that's excellent. I'm glad that
Yeah.
works for you. I've
Absolutely.
had individuals in my life that were, atheists. They are just
Hmm.
anti religion, anti faith, anti all those sorts of
Yeah.
things. And I've had these conversations, but I often go like, that is a profoundly deeper religious connotation than anything that I have. If you consider yourself an atheist, that is such a deep a deep religious negativity, and that's a stretch for me. I've seen too many things in my life where I go, I cannot make that compute.
Right.
And whether that's just science or whether that's all those sorts of things, but
Yeah,
I've
I
just
have
seen too
to. I
much.
think this is maybe a different podcast, but I 100% agree. Like, I think there are too many coincidences in our world that if I go and I kill all the bees, everyone
Right.
dies. The
Right.
fact that flowers are mathematically beautiful, like you can use math to discover them. There's just so many options. Like if we have the population of deer rise, then the population of wolves rise. Like there's so many things. The way the moon affects the earth and the planets affect the other planets. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe that's all an accident. But you're absolutely right. That is a wonderful example of how your soul gets buffeted by your faith. And
Right.
the same thing happened when my dad died when I was 27. My mom died when I was 27. My dad died when I was 28. Faith got me through that. Like that
100%.
was devastating for me. It was I was just basically my dad and I were just turning into that whole, we're now men together instead of I'm
Right.
your son and you're my dad, and we talked as equals, and we had those, we were just starting to have those conversations that we're we're buddies. We're not, I'm not below you, we're
Right.
equals.
Right.
And he passed away, and it was very, very hard for me. But the same kind of thing. My faith got me through. I knew there was a reason for everything. I knew that God had me. I knew God had my dad. My dad, not as faithful as your father, didn't go to church or anything, but strong belief in God. He
Yeah.
was the kind of guy that brought the Jehovah Witnesses onto his porch, fed them lemonade, and said, "Okay, this is why you're wrong."
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but never went to church. He just
Right.
was a guy that was just wonderful guy,
Yeah.
loving.
Welcome.
He helped
Welcome.
his
This
neighbor.
is why you're
There
wrong.
was a guy that knew what soul was all about,
Right.
and so I got a lot of my faith from him, not church wise,
Yeah.
but through just listening to him talk about God.
Yeah.
His faith was so strong. And then through church, I when I was younger, I had a priest that kind of took me under his wing, and I was fortunate enough that the church was right beside my school. I was in a Catholic school, and he'd call me over for funerals or
Right.
the
Absolutely.
occasional emergency
I made
mass or
so much
whatever.
money. I
I
did.
didn't make any money at all.
I made so much money.
I wish I did
Well,
make money. I didn't get any money for
oh
that.
man, we
It
made
was just
legitimately
yeah,
because at the cathedral,
right.
where again across from where I went to elementary school,
Yeah,
funeral masses, you made, $20-25.
yeah,
I'd get the phone call like on the buzzer at lunch, and
right.
it'd be, Miss Smith, can Patrick run over to the cathedral and serve a mass? And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
no problem.
I sure can. I was supposed to have an algebra test that I was going to fail. Brilliant. So I'd go over, serve a funeral mass, and then head back. And
Right,
one of the things that we talk about, with priests and society laughs and jokes a little bit
right.
right now,
Oh yeah,
and I hate to say it, but a lot of them bring it on themselves.
yeah,
Is the situation in which they've went through the residential schools, the
yeah,
pedophilia stuff, and all
yeah.
those things are terrible. I
They
think
are
that
awful,
they're
awful.
awful. There's no question.
Yeah, and
But I think
there's a group in the church that needs to be accountable for that for
right,
sure. But
no
there's
question.
also a group in the church that helped when hurricanes hit, when
Right.
plagues hit,
Yeah.
when the war hit.
Right.
They saved
There was also some
people.
pedophiles in the Boy Scouts and hockey coaches and baseball
Well, yeah,
coaches,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and this
I
is the
prefer to see
thing.
the positive of that side, but yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well,
There is
but that's, I
that in
think
everything.
I think that
Yeah,
a lot of people, and
yeah,
a lot of people potentially wrongfully have
right,
walked away from the church or walked away from faith because they're like,
right,
I just cannot do that.
right.
I cannot be a
Yeah,
part of that association. And it's like,
baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. There's a
Mhm.
lot of really good things that
Yeah.
occur in
There
there.
is so many good, so many wonderful, wonderful things within the church. Like I was going to say that so I'm right beside the church, and we'd come over and we do masses, but we also every recess we would go over and we'd play hockey in the
Right.
parking lot, and out would come father in his robes, and because back then they always wore robes, they weren't kind of in civvies a
Cool.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd come out in his robes with a stick, and he'd play hockey with us, and we had a great time. And
Yeah.
he modeled faith at all times.
Right.
He just was that guy. And he was one of those people that taught me how to have my soul soar. Like he
Right.
did things like way before it was popular to help people from other countries come to
Yep.
Canada. He was doing it. He was
Right.
like begging and borrowing and getting cars for them. And like there
Yeah.
was no government funding back then. It was all
Right.
the church doing it. The
Oh,
church
100%.
was fighting to help these people to
Yeah.
escape their poor realities.
Yep.
And that modeling showed me what the soul can do when it's full. And that's the other half of things. So maybe you're not faithful, and this is a good lead into that. Maybe you're not faithful. Maybe you don't believe in God, and you know what? That's your choice. You do you. But there's also the other side. You want to feed your soul, and you're not faithful. Do good in the world. Like you don't have to be. You don't have to go like get a family come in and get a car from all that's huge. What you can do though, you can um sorry, my son's coming in the door, I'm pretty sure. Uh, you can
On
go
the
out
island?
there. Yeah, on the island. He's somewhere over there.
Right.
Uh, so you can go and go next door and rake the leaves of your elderly neighbor.
Yep.
You don't have to tell your elderly neighbor. No one has to know. In fact,
Absolutely.
if no one knows, all the
Right.
better. Because
Right.
it's not about that. We talked about this in a prior podcast. It's in or out,
Right.
not out or in. So
Yeah.
if you expect someone to say, "Oh man, it was so great that you raked the leaves," That's not what soul is about.
Yeah.
Soul is about inside coming out. So it's about you
Well, it's funny
feeling
you say
good
that.
because you do something for someone else without
Right.
any reward. And
Right.
that will buffet you
Oh,
so
and it
that if
passes it
you're
forward.
exactly.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's, kind of you and I talked talked briefly, easy for you to say,
Yeah.
before this. And that was my cousin with all the tornado stuff that had been happening here. Uh, we,
Yeah.
food was a bit of a commodity for a little while there. And my cousin she's like, I'm coming over, I'm bringing you food, relax. We got this. Don't worry about it. She had cable, or she had power. We obviously didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember at that time, I'm like, that is so powerful. Like, that is so important. That helped me so much that it's like, I wanted to be able to pass that forward. So my daughter and I, we end up doing something, for some of my tenants today, and we end up doing something nice for them.
Right.
And it was kind of a situation where that action that she did had a chain reaction that has now affected not only my family, but other families as well.
Absolutely.
And it's like that one thing. If she had just been like, Pat's fine, he would have been, he's fine. Like, don't worry
Yeah.
about Pat, right?
Right.
Then I wouldn't have thought to do all these other things. But I internalized that, and I'm like, no, that was really good. That was really kind. I really, really enjoyed that feeling.
Right.
I can do that, and I can imply that in somebody else, right?
And it makes you think about doing it for others. So like
100%.
doing other things. What else can I do to help?
Right.
But you're going through a lot right now. So your
Right.
soul is low. But how did you feel after that?
Well, it
Like,
was nice to walk in there and be able to provide something
right?
positive for somebody, for sure.
You were soaring. You came out of that with a more
Soaring
positive
profit.
outlook. Your more
Yeah,
positive outlook on like
on brand.
as you pointed out in one of your shorts, I did have power and I did have showers and stuff pretty much well before a lot of the people in Peterborough. And so I opened my house as much as possible to the people around so they could get power, shower, cook, all that. And
Yeah.
I didn't do
Everyone.
it. I didn't do it because I wanted praise or I wanted glory. I did it
Right.
because it was the right thing to do. That's what you
For
do
sure.
for community. That's how you help
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
There were people walking up and down the streets with chainsaws,
Right.
just helping people get out from under, like literally getting their car from under a tree.
Yep.
Just because of community.
Yep.
There
No,
are,
it was pretty
you know,
impressive. Yeah, it
and
was pretty
and it's
impressive
the
what I saw.
feeling you get, like my school, so we opened, not all the schools open because some of them still don't have power, and so we greeted everyone with we put tables out front, we put some flags up, so it was exciting and beautiful and all that, and we put food on the table, like nothing, not good food, but like not good food in like bear paws and
Yeah.
crackers and cheese and all that stuff and
Yep.
Timbits and water and stuff, because some of these kids hadn't eaten in days because
Right.
you had to throw out all your food,
Yep.
right? And just being a part of that, helping with that, setting that up,
Yep.
it was glorifying. It made
Yep.
me feel higher. It didn't matter what's happening in my life. It didn't matter if negative things were happening.
Yep.
At that moment, I was soaring. At that moment, I was joyful. At that moment, the smiles on the kids' faces as they came off the bus and saw food,
You're right.
exciting
Yeah,
food.
and some of them for the first time potentially in a couple of days, right?
Absolutely, because I do
Yeah.
have poor families in my community that
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how they're going to recover from not losing all their food. In fact,
Right.
may have to eat the food that's gone bad. Like
Yeah.
they don't have money. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
Yeah.
But
No,
that's
absolutely.
what I'm talking about. Like, so, you get your mental game together, you get your body together, but you also have to have this powerful soul, whether that's through God that buffets you and raises you higher through prayer and experiences, or it's altruism where you're helping. Like you can go as small as, like I said, go next door and
Yep.
collect the sticks that have fallen on someone's property, or take the time to stop with a homeless person and just listen to their story. That 5 minutes of talking to someone who feels marginalized, feels like they're ignored, people usually turn away from, that's huge for them. Or maybe
Right.
you're just walking down the street and you see someone walk down the street and you say to them, "Hey man, I love your scarf."
Right.
That "I love your scarf"
Yeah.
could be the only positive they've heard in the last 20 years, and you've changed their life for the better forever.
It's funny, I had that
And you've
conversation
raised
today.
their soul.
I had that conversation today. Harlow and I were grabbing some groceries, and really the only grocery store in the area that's well done over at Morello's there.
Yeah.
And we walked in there and we got our little grocery basket and are going up. We just got like snacky stuff because
Right.
we were very fortunate. And the checkout girl said to Harlow, she's like, "I really love your sweater." And Harlow's like, "Oh," and kind of took her off guard, kind of like that, right? Because it's just like a Puma sweater, like nothing fancy kind of thing. And I walked outside and I said, "How'd that make you feel?" And she's like, "Yeah, that was kind of cool." Like, right? And I'm like, "And you can do that to somebody else." Right. So exactly like what you said, right?
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I'm going to challenge people a little bit farther than with what you're saying, and I'm going to say try church. And I look at people around in the dynamic that are on right now in our community, and there was a lot of people that I've got a saying, and it's not very romantic, but their buttholes were tight this last week.
I agree.
Right? There's nothing romantic about it. There was a lot of oh my gods, oh my gods, oh my gods.
Absolutely.
So when it's oh my gods, when you need something. Don't be afraid. The church is open. Go on in, sit down, relax. You want to meditate under a tree. You want to go down by the lake. Cool. But what about trying something a little bit different too, and go into that building, that institution, and just try it. Just try it. Just try it. No one is going to accost you. No one's going to beat you. The most you're ever going to get in a Catholic church is going to be someone that might wave from you from afar. And that's it.
Or Father will come over. Father tends to come, like especially in the church that we're at. Father,
well, and what would he say to you? Like I'm trying to go through it.
Right. I don't remember your name is what he usually says to me.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing though, right? So this is not, I know that there's a lot of other Christian faiths out there that are very in your face membership measure. We want you to join. We want it's a very weird process.
Is not that.
No, it's a very more laid back, personalized thing. So step out, go into the church, pick I'm Catholic, so pick a Catholic church or not. Like if you're a Hasidic Jew, you might not fit in well. But
you fit in just fine. Like I think you could walk in and you sit down, you get a religious experience from it.
Right.
So but
go in and try it. Yeah. And I'm saying instead
but
of
if you're a Hasidic Jew,
moment,
go to
Shalom.
Yeah, go to the temple. Go to temple. Go. But I'm going to take it back a step, and this is what I tell people who don't have faith. I say, I just want you, like my 7-day domino journey, very similar. For 7 days, every morning, wake up. The first thing you do is pray. That's what I do every morning. Like I don't talk about it on podcast a lot, but every morning I start my day with prayer. I pray for my family. I pray for the things that, I think I need, even though God knows better than I do. And I pray for the people I know, like you and your family and Craig and his family and the kids at my school and stuff like that. And it's just a wonderful way to start the day. And there's been several times in my life where I've had a problem, a serious problem. And I just said, I just talk to him. I talk to him sometimes like he's daddy. Right. And I'm just like, Dad, God, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I need something. Like how? And every time he's helped me. Never, ever in the way that I think I need the help.
Yep.
But in the end, he has helped me. And I just try it. 7 days. 7 days. Prayer. What do you got to lose?
Right.
Just open your head. You don't have to like say Our Father or a Hail Mary, but if that's what you want to do that. Just have a conversation. That's it. Right. Just at the start of your day, start with the people that you hope have a good day, and then maybe ask them for something that you need in your life, whatever it is, small, big, whatever it is, and just see how your life changes.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure.
And then if it works, go to church.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't send money into anybody. Like when you see these televangelists.
Ever. Like we give to the Catholic Church every week, but that's to keep them going, and they do a lot of good work. But it's like $20, not like your life savings.
Here's a rock. Send me some money for a rock.
For a rock or
a
kerchief. Yeah. Praise the Lord and all that stuff. Yeah, no,
a little roll.
I'm sure people believe that, and if you do, okay, if it brings you your joy, your soul joy, which is what we're talking about,
right?
I guess so, but please don't give them like your family's fortune, like your kids, and need that. Right. You just do. Even if you don't talk to your kids, you chose to have your children,
right?
And your children deserve everything you have, like that.
Right.
anyway,
The government's going to take half, so try to give the other half somewhere
I'm
positive.
side-talking here. But anyway, the moral of the story is soul. Do things that will increase your soul, whether that's church, whether that's helping people out, whether that's whatever in your community. Like I was saying on my little tape thing that, you know what, grab 6 giant boxes of granola bars, go over to your closest school and go, hey, I just in case the kids don't have breakfast this morning, here's some it's granola bars, or you know, whatever it is, go to the homeless shelter.
Unless your probation prevents you from doing that.
Oh my God, you got it. Oh, I don't know what to do with you. I really don't.
There's some weirdos out there that are watching this. I'm guaranteed. We had some gun people that were all over it.
Oh, that's true.
Bit. Might be
people.
You
probation. Are a gun person.
I'm saying we're not getting onto that one. We're not getting onto that one today.
Let's not get onto the gun thing. It blew up.
No, we will go later.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Mind, body, soul. Soul is so important. Soul is what gives you that fuel. It's the gas that gets you up every morning, gets you ready going, get your mind open to new challenges, new inspirations, new things. You need that fuel. Without it, what's the point of doing things? If you don't have a strong soul, what's the point? What's the point if you're not going to be happy? What's the point if you're not going to be joyful? What's the point if you're not going to pass it on to the people around you, the world around you, and show love outward? What's the point?
Exactly. Yep. And that's easier said than done sometimes, but you know, we're all working on that and going through that. So
sure are.
Like James says, is always mind, body, and soul. And his my little catchphrase is like always, you know, let's try to make some money together, folks. As always, Patrick, my partner in crime here, James P. And it was a pleasure. That, you know, this conversation was a little bit different than what we usually take, a little bit more personal, a little bit more real. And I think you know, exposing some of this stuff at times can be, you know, a wound that clearly I know I still have just with the passing of my father and dealing with that. But yeah, talking about it is great. And it's something that, you know, try in your personal life. And as your faith develops, that's an interesting, you know, presence.
And I hope you have gotten something out of this. And if you have, I'd love for you to start commenting on her and let's start a little table talk. It can be about faith. It can be, you know, about, you know, something you did. If you just want to throw out there, you know what, during this time I did this, I helped in the community, give other people ideas of what they can do to have their soul soar. I think it'd be a wonderful thing to start that. See some joyful things.
Love it.
You have a great day, sir. Woo! High five to you guys too.
Thanks again, folks. As always, Soaring Profits. Talk to you soon. Hey, folks. Thanks again for joining us at Soaring Profits. Patrick and James, please like, subscribe, and share. And
follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. And let's start a dinner table discussion right on this page right here. Let's start talking about the topics that we're talking about today.
Thanks again, folks. Appreciate it.